afternoon, everybody. If you live in Abu Dhabi today or you're planning to move in Abu Dhabi, there's a very high probability that you're living in one of our communities, or your kids probably go to one of our schools, or you probably work in one of our offices, or you go shopping in one of our malls, or you might even vacation in one of our hotels. You get the point. We touch every aspect of our customers' life. We are in the business of creating communities and of creating signature experiences. We've been a public company for the past 20 years. We were founded by Mubadala in 2005 to drive the real estate landscape in Abu Dhabi. And what started as a pure home builder quickly evolved into a very diversified real estate operating company. We've had a number of significant milestones through our lifetime. It started in 2013 with the merger with Suruh, which was the second largest real estate company at the time, creating a national champion. And then in 2018, we acquired the assets of TDIC, which is basically the land bank that we have today in Saadiyat. Saadiyat is probably our most precious land bank. It sits within the cultural district. This is where you have all the museums, the Louvre, the Guggenheim, the Zayed National Museum. If you've been following, we just launched the Mandarin Residences that is opposite to the Zayed National Museum during F1 weekend. And during that same year, we established Aldar Investment Properties. Aldar Investment Properties is the largest, most diversified real estate platform. This is the entity that holds all our recurring residential, commercial, retail, and logistics real estate assets. And when COVID hit in 2020, the defensibility of that portfolio was tested. AIP was down high single digits, but our peers were down 40, 50%. Why? Because they had a lot of single sector exposure, single asset exposure, but we didn't. And when many companies did not pay a dividend during COVID, we did. Following COVID, the government enacted a number of transformational structural reforms. The Golden Visa program, 100% ownership of onshore legal entities, and we saw that as an opportunity where a real estate player such as ourselves was going to significantly benefit. So what we did is we embarked on a new operating model. And we took what were previously departments within the company, so development, the home building business, and investment, the recurring income business, and we set up their own divisions, so their own management committees, their own investment committees, their own delegation of authority, because we wanted to be agile. We wanted to be able to grow very quickly. Fast forward, this is how the business looks today. So you have Aldar Development, which has three main verticals. Your UAE home builder, project management. So interestingly, we build a lot of the projects on behalf of the government. So it's a hybrid of a PPP model where we build a lot of the bridges, roads, government buildings for the government here in Abu Dhabi. And it's quite a profitable business for us. And we have an 80 billion backlog for that. And then we have our presence internationally, which is Egypt and London. The second segment is Aldar Investment, which has 4 capital pools. The most significant is AIP, which I just mentioned, the recurring income real estate. We have a large hospitality portfolio, which has over 4,250 keys. We are the largest private K-12 education player here in Abu Dhabi and one of the largest in the UAE. And we have a thriving integrated property management and facility management business. From 2020 to 2023, we've more than doubled our market cap. We have more than doubled our EBITDA. If you look at our assets under management, which is again the recurring income business, we've more than doubled that. Our sales for the home building business is up by almost 8 times. Our backlog, which are the sales that we haven't recognized yet, went from 3.5 billion to today to over 45 billion dirhams. And what started as an Abu Dhabi-only company in 2020, today has a very successful franchise in Dubai, in Ras Al Khaimah, Egypt through Sadiq, and London through London Square. The growth in our home building business has been incredible. So our average run rate historically was about 3.5 billion dirhams a year. And you see the growth from 2020. We've been doubling every year. 3.5 to over 7 to over 14 to over 28. We've stopped doubling for now, but we're still growing. So this year, year to date, we continue to grow at a pace of 20%. And the interesting point to note is Abu Dhabi continues to have significant room for growth. To give you some perspective, Abu Dhabi's sales in 2023 in the residential market was about 50 billion dirhams. Dubai was 300 billion dirhams, so almost 6 times the size. So what does that tell us? That Abu Dhabi continues to have significant room for growth, both from a quantum perspective and from a price perspective. Our recurring income business has also been growing significantly. Our adjusted EBITDA, which is the closest metric to cash, has doubled between 21 and 23. And we continue to grow at a double-digit pace this year, where we've deployed significant capital over the past few years. Our most notable acquisition in 2022 was the ADGM towers next door. ADGM was 76% occupied. Back then, it is now more than 98% occupied. One of the key highlights this year, I think, has been the commercial office demand in Abu Dhabi. We cannot keep up with the demand. So other than ADGM getting leased up, we opened a new office building at the beginning of this year, and it is more than fully occupied today. And we're building additional spaces in Al Mariya. And the difference that we are seeing is there's significant international demand coming into Abu Dhabi. And we're not talking about satellite offices. We are talking about real offices with proper presence, 40, 50, 100 employees, moving their families into Abu Dhabi because they want to be present in this market. So I'm also Chief Financial and Sustainability Officer. And the motto that we take when it comes to sustainability is good for business. What do we mean? It means you can be responsible, but you can look at it from a commercial perspective as well. For example, we've done considerable retrofitting investments into our existing assets. We've invested over 150 million dirhams into our existing assets with a payback period today that is 3 to 4 years. So it's been more profitable to invest into retrofitting than it is investing into the actual real estate. On our new builds, what we do, we have a lot of pillars in terms of achieving our net zero targets. So we have a net zero target of 2050 in line with the UAE's government strategic net zero plan to be net zero by 2050. And in all our developments, we are introducing green supply chain, green design. From a customer perspective, if I am able to tell my customer that my villas or apartments are more efficient in terms of energy consumption or water consumption compared to my competitors, this is good for business. Again, being sustainable does not mean you have to compromise on your fiduciary duty to shareholders. The second leg of sustainability, if we talk about the ESG angle, social. We're very active on the CSR front. Over the past 6-7 years, we've invested more than 225 million dirhams into social initiatives. The things that we care a lot about and we focus on is education, given the significant role we play in that sector, workers' welfare, and inclusion for people of determination. And then the last thing, which I'd like to emphasize, is we take governance very seriously. We have a 21% shareholder base that is international. one of the largest here in the market. We are very serious when it comes to reporting and transparency. I urge you to read our investor packs. We are the most detailed when it comes compared to a lot of our peers. And just concluding in terms of performance, year to date, we're up more than 50% compared to last year. And while we haven't given our full guidance for next year yet, we have teased the market that we're going to grow at least another 35% going forward. So the platform continues to have considerable room for growth. So if you haven't invested in Aldar today, I urge you to consider so. Thank you very much.